The next thing I'm going to try to change is the presentation. So even with that last video, I think the language better directed attention, but it's still a bit slow, especially in the middle. So I'm going to tweak how this is presented now. I'm going to teach you what we mean by the words quadratic equation. For example, this is not a quadratic equation because the highest power on the variable is not 2. Whereas this is a quadratic equation because the highest power on the variable is 2. This is a quadratic equation because the highest power on the variable is 2. And this is a quadratic equation because the highest power on the variable is 2. But this is not a quadratic equation because the highest power on the variable is not 2. There are probably ways I could tweak that further. For example, let's say we go back to this one. I could say at the end, so I've got, this is a quadratic equation because the highest power on the variable is 2. Now, watch what I change. I'm going to change just one thing. This is not a quadratic equation because the highest power on the variable is not 2. So different little things that I've changed there. One, between the negative and the positive, I kept it the same as before because it's very quick to just add that x2 to the end there. And that's using this method of continuous conversion. We take the earlier example, we convert it into the next example, and that really directs attention to the thing that matters. The same thing happens when we moved from positive example to negative again at the end here. By taking the old example, converting it into a new one, by writing this 3 here, I'm directing attention to exactly the thing that matters, which is the highest power is no longer 2. That change converted this from a positive to a negative example. When I redid this, that last bit, and changed the language a little bit, by pausing a moment to say, watch what I change, or I could have done it the other way around. I'm going to change just one thing, watch what I change. Then again, I'm priming students' attention for the fact that I'm going to change something and to really focus on what it is that I do next. Finally, the big difference in the presentation this time, I didn't rub things out. So I just wrote the next positive example, wrote the next positive example. This has a risk. Again, there are a lot of markings all around this, lots and lots and lots of different little markings, which for us is not overwhelming, but for some people who are still learning this for the first time, children, other novice mathematicians, this is a lot of markings. This feels complicated and messy. It can look kind of intimidating. It can be difficult to understand where to focus attention. So I've taken a risk by writing all 3 of them up. Why do I think the risk might be worth it? First of all, I'm hoping that they will just attend to the next thing, that the current thing that I'm writing, that they'll ignore the last thing. So hopefully that helps with the information overload. Second, it's actually a little bit faster, at least with this tool that I'm using, to just write the next example rather than try to rub out the last one and then write the next one. And that minimizing that gap from example to example is really important. So that's the next thing I'm going to look at in the next video.